Hello, entrepreneurs. Thank you for joining
Hello.
us today. I have Chuck and Pam Coleman with us today, and I'm just excited about the topic that we're speaking about. Um, I want just jump in and just let you know who they are so they can tell you actually who they are and what they do. Hi, Chuck. Hi, Pam.
Hi,
Hey, Teresa,
Teresa.
how are you? And all the entrepreneurs out there on Facebook.
I want you to be able just let them know who you are so they can get to know you and just what you do. What do you do? What do you guys do? And just so you know that they are a married couple working together, which is awesome. What do you guys do?
Well, we have, first of all, we've been married for over 32 years. We've been entrepreneurs since day one. And we have three adult children. All of them are entrepreneurs. And so we know how important it is to be able to pass a legacy on from one generation to the next. I just wanted to introduce us, in that way. And my husband's going to share more.
Mhm. I like maybe many of you out there, I was told that the way that you get ahead in life is by going to school, getting a good education, eventually getting a good job, work a job for 40 years, be able to retire and then live off their retirement and enjoy the rest of your life. And after looking at many people who follow that pattern, I said, you know what? This doesn't work
Mhm.
because many of the people, once they retired, they went back to work, working another job because they just weren't making it, financially. And I said, I don't want to go down that path. I started down that path. And what happened for me, guys, is that I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And as a matter of fact, if you haven't read the book, I strongly, strongly suggest that you read it because that book literally transformed my way of thinking. I stopped thinking like an employee and I started thinking like an entrepreneur. And honestly speaking, entrepreneurship and success is predicated upon how you think. It's
Absolutely.
all in accordance to how you think, what your mindset is. And an entrepreneur has to have a certain type of mindset in order to be successful. And once I changed how I was thinking, I've embraced entrepreneurship and I've been running with it ever since. I got started in the real estate business. I bought a property in Philadelphia for $1. I fixed it up and I was able to use that to parlay that into other properties that we currently own. And I'm just excited about being an entrepreneur. I wouldn't give it up for the world, man. This is my life and I enjoy it immensely.
This guy, he hasn't worked a regular job in 28 years.
Oh my
I just
goodness.
want to say, for couples, I'm also an entrepreneur. However, entrepreneurship involves risk. So sometimes there are feasts and sometimes it's famine. And so for us and our family, my husband was the person who was willing to take a lot more risk at an earlier time in life, but we still had three children to raise. And so while he was out there forging ahead in entrepreneurship and real estate investment, I still worked a job until about 5 years ago. And that kind of allowed us to have that balance because when there's famine, you still have to have some income coming in on a regular basis. So, entrepreneurship is wonderful, but if you're doing it as a couple, you have to sometimes have some compromises. And entrepreneurship it's the way to go because you're able to determine what your value is and what your worth is. For example, I worked for so many years, I'm an educator, so I worked in schools. I eventually became a college professor. And my husband one day looked at me and he said, my father had just died and I was emotionally, I was in an emotional state where it was hard for me to work. And my husband said, you have done so much for so many other people. Why don't you consider starting your own business? Which I did. I started a training company working with administrators and teachers and parents. But eventually, we're of course real estate investors together, but eventually we began to form a business together, which is called Legacy Makers. And we're really excited about that because we're able to help other entrepreneurs and other families who want to groom their children to be entrepreneurs.